Hello everyone, I'd like to start with an image that you all have in your mind. When people think of a pharmacist, what do they see? Usually they imagine someone in a white coat, looking a bit serious, standing behind a raised counter. They see someone deciphering prescriptions that are sometimes impossible to read, someone fetching boxes from drawers and handing out medication. And yes, that is true. I won't lie, that is a huge part of my job. It is the tip of the iceberg. My mission is to heal. It is to relieve pain. It is taking the time to explain a complex treatment to someone who is worried. But after more than 10 years of experience, 10 years of wearing this white coat and watching people pass by, I realized something profound, something that changed my vision of the profession. My pharmacy wasn't just a place for distributing medication. It was a window open onto human life. Think about it for a moment. The pharmacist is the health professional closest to you. There is no barrier, no complicated appointment booking. You pass by that green cross every day, sometimes without even noticing it because it's part of the scenery, sometimes rushing in because your child has a fever. Over the years, I've met thousands of people, thousands of stories. Some came in with pain, carrying the weight of illness on their shoulders. And believe me, I have always been proud, immensely proud, to be able to help them thanks to the power of modern medicine. Illness is often unfair. It strikes randomly, without warning. It is a cruel lottery, and that is exactly why medicine is important, why it is vital. But in the middle of this stream of patients, there was another category, another group of people who truly caught my attention. They were men and women. They were 70, 80, sometimes even 90 years old and counting. And the most fascinating part, they didn't come for emergencies. They didn't come for heavy pathologies. They came for maintenance, for well-being. They radiated something powerful, a sort of aura, an energy, a vitality that often left me speechless. I would watch them leave, walking with a brisk step, and I would say to myself internally, wow, I want to be just like them when I reach their age. So I made a decision. I changed my approach. Instead of just giving them advice, as I learned in pharmacy school, I started doing the opposite. I started asking questions. I wanted to understand. I wanted to know. And today, in this episode, I am going to share with you what these remarkable people entrusted to me. These are their secrets. Simple yet powerful secrets to stay healthy and full of life for as long as possible. The first thing that struck me about these dynamic seniors, the first common denominator, was their relationship with movement. And careful, I want to be very clear on this no. I am not talking about athletes. I am not talking about people who run marathons at 80 or who spend their lives in a gym. It was much simpler than that, much more subtle. Let me tell you a specific story. I remember one of my patients. Let's call her Mrs. Martin. Mrs. Martin was 84 years old, a petite lady, always well-dressed. What impressed me about her was that she always came to the pharmacy on foot. No matter the weather, rain, wind, or bright sunshine, she was there. One day, the weather was particularly bad. I saw her shaking off her umbrella at the entrance, so I offered her a service. I told her, Mrs. Martin, next time, just call us. We can deliver your medication to your home. It will save you the fatigue. She looked at me, she smiled, and she said a sentence I will never forget. She told me, "Oh no, coming here is my little walk. If I stop walking, I rust. The machine needs to run every day. I rust." That sentence stayed engraved in my mind. For them, for these model patients, movement isn't a sports session you write down in a planner. It's a way of life. It's a daily discipline. They walk to get bread. They cook standing up. They garden. They fix things around the house. They are in a permanent fight against illness without even realizing it. They never sit for 4 hours straight in front of a screen. What is the lesson here? It's that the body is designed to move. Imagine a door that remains closed for years. What happens? The hinges seize up. It squeaks. It becomes difficult to open. The human body is the same. If it doesn't move, it begins to freeze up. Joints stiffen, the metabolism slows down. It's not a question of performance. Mrs. Martin wasn't trying to break a record. It's a question of consistency. That is the first secret. Never let the machine rust. Let's move on to the second secret. It concerns food. When I started discussing with these older patients full of life, I honestly expected complex revelations. I thought they were going to tell me about strict diets, exotic superfoods, or expensive supplements. Not at all. Their wisdom was often summed up in a simple sentence. A sentence of down-to-earth wisdom. I'm thinking of this 78-year-old gentleman, a former farmer, a lean, sharp man with a handshake that was still very firm. One day, I asked him what he ate. He answered me this: "I never eat anything that was made in a factory. I only eat what I can recognize." Take a moment to digest that "I only eat what I can recognize." It's simple, but it's genius. These people cook real food, fruits, vegetables, eggs, meat. When they look at their plate, they see the raw product. They naturally avoid everything ultra-processed, those products that are too sweet, too salty, filled with additives that we find everywhere in our supermarkets today. They are not in restriction. They don't starve themselves. They just eat real. They see their body as something precious. The image that comes to my mind is that of a classic car. If you had a vintage car, magnificent, a collector's item, would you put cheap, adulterated fuel in it? No. You would put the best fuel possible so as not to damage the engine. Well, these patients treat their bodies with that same respect. They don't put just anything into the engine. That is the second secret. Go back to the basics. Eat what nature produced, not what the factory processed.